Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Dear White People, Volume 3, Chapter 1. So, full spoilers for the episode, as always. And that was a smooth intro, if I do say so myself. Yeah, we're back for Volume 3. Nice, thank you to Netflix for the extensive recap at the start of the episode for me.
You mean the one I didn't get?
The one you didn't get. I had a really great... in depth of all the plots we had in season 2, the pregnancy, the father's death, Gabe and Sam, what Reggie was going through, Lionel's whole thing, oh god, he's not on the list. The editor who turned out to be the alt-right poster.
Oh god, I couldn't tell you his name.
He's not on. I need to click on the longer list. I do have a name of the characters up because every time we start a new season after a lot of time off, we have this problem.
Yep. Yeah, we do. Nope, didn't get that recap. So I'm glad most of the episode didn't. Yeah, there was usually something that kind of prompted me as a little reminder as to what happened before.
But no, it's a helpful recap. And we ended a cliffhanger last season with the narrator appearing. And we start this episode kind of seeing his side of this, where he's like sort of noticing someone's there, and he's quickly like getting himself ready, and it adds a bit of humor to like his mysterious entrance, where it's like, no, he's literally just a dude who was like, oh shit, someone's here, right? It's time to do my little entrance and speech.
Pretty much.
To which they respond with, okay, you're part of a secret society. And then he's disappointed that they didn't actually figure out the clues and solve the mystery and the puzzle that they're supposed to. They just kind of locked into the correct area.
Yeah, they just kind of stumbled across it, and her ex was not an ex. In the sense they didn't point to the right location.
The X on the map, yes.
Yes.
Yes, so he's like, oh, well, you know what? It's been so long, I'm not waiting another 10 years. Sit down, I'll start training you to be part of this secret society, which is basically dead. He essentially wants them to start it up again. He's like the last bastion for it. And ultimately, to start this off, they have to, quote-unquote, kill the narrator, which doesn't make I mean, obviously to us it makes a bit more sense, because we're like, okay, he's the narrator to us, but...
And there is no narration.
And there is no narration in this episode. There's a few differences about this episode. The title screen is different. Season 1 and 2 had a very continued trend. It was always a character sort of profile with like a background that said chapter, whatever on it. This season, we seem to have just this symbol, this logo that comes up. This sort of circular, almost academic looking logo.
Yeah, it's a secret society logo, isn't it?
Yeah. I guess secret society. I was thinking academic because it looked like a crest on a...
Yeah, it is, but it's like the cross with the 4 symbols. It's classic secret society.
So that's a little bit different. And the other big difference for this episode for me, which makes it actually a really awkward episode to talk about, is that typically this show will usually focus on one character as a primary character for the episode, and typically episode 1s have always been Sam's. This episode is not that. This episode is very much a little tiny bit of everyone, and we jump around them all.
Yeah, the closest you would say to a primary character would be Al, and kind of, but he's just used as a vehicle to go around all the various groups.
Yeah, he doesn't really have a story, really. He's just going around with a petition for everyone, because he's being very kind of proactive with his social causes, and everyone else is kind of thinned out. Because I guess the biggest thing that it sets up in this episode is that Sam, Coco, Reggie, and Joelle, none of them show up to the meeting, their usual meetings. Which typically was a big deal for them in season 1 and 2, but they've all kind of drifted and are doing different things. Joelle's doing the radio show now. Sam's gave that up, but she said she was going to at the end of last season. I mean, I wasn't sure if she was going to go through with it, but she has, and she's
kind of doing nothing.
Well, no, she's watching their knockoff version of The Handmaid's Tale, which was amusing. But what was really funny about this is when he eventually referred to the character as July. That actually made me laugh. That was the bit that made it funny to me.
I think it went on a bit too long. This, because we'd seen some of their knockoff shows before.
Sure.
They were used little snippets, 10 seconds here, little half a scene there. This was like a good 2 or 3 minutes that I feel like we saw of this.
I don't know, there was, because the second scene we got of it, and this scene, the second scene of this fake show within this scene that we got, where the July, the main character, the June knockoff, is talking about, I can't believe things went this way. We used to be free. And, you know, the black handmaid, I mean, if they're even calling them handmaids, I don't know. And they're not red. That was the one weird thing, is they were in the wife colours from the show.
Yeah.
Now, what's weird, you can tell we've actually seen this show because we have all these little nitpicks about the making fun of it, because we actually know what we're talking about in this case. But it was this weird, just this little sort of satirical moment where the black handmaid is just giving her this eye, like, yeah, I can't believe it. Yeah, not like this has ever happened before. You know, just... Yeah, it was good. We got a little bit of satire.
Well, that's just too much in one go. If this had been spread, if those two separate scenes had been over two separate episodes, I'd probably have a lot less.
Oh, I'm sure we'll see more. I'm sure we'll see some more of.
It was a lot once. It felt
I
like
don't know if we saw a title this episode, but I'm hoping we get whatever the fake title is at some point.
Yeah, I don't remember the one being one.
Yeah, the Handmaids Story or something. I don't know. Something like that. But did you not enjoy the constant meta references to it feeling like a season 3 of a Netflix show?
I hated that. I genuinely hated that with a passion.
Do you know what's funny is I didn't really care about the first one with Sam, because hers felt a little bit just out of nowhere and forced. The one with Reggie, though, actually I thought kind of landed quite well, because it was in the context of people changing. He's like, well, if we don't change, it's just like we're in season 3 of a Netflix show.
I hated it so much. This is terrible.
Do you know the funny thing is I kind of agree that it's not good. I agree that it's far too on the nose. But here's the thing. I think it's so on the nose that I've went full circle on it, and I've come around to loving it because it's so ridiculously bad. And I say that in an endearing way. I think it's supposed to be. I don't think they're idiots. I don't think that they put this in thinking it was a really smart joke. I think they put this in knowing it was ridiculous, and that's kind of the joke.
I don't know. Once was bad, and then it came up again. I was like, nope, not having it.
I hope every single episode this season references the fact that it feels like season 3 of a Netflix show.
Do you know what the problem is?
Uh-huh.
I don't think I've seen enough season 3s of a Netflix show to know what that feels like.
That's fair. If they just said season 3 of a TV show, maybe you could...
I might have let it go more, yeah, but... How many things of season 3 from Netflix have we actually watched?
Travelers. We had. I mean, we've not watched it, but I mean, House of Cards had season 3. Orange is the New Black had season 3.
But yeah, again, I've not seen those.
Well, the problem is that like Glow's just about to start season 3, so that's the thing.
Yeah, I mean, this is season 3, obviously, but yeah.
13 Reasons Why is just about to have season 3 as well. And again, I know we don't watch it, but we're just hitting season 3 in a lot of these shows.
No, we are, and that's the thing. Like, I know that all of them are there. Other people have probably seen season 3s of other shows that we don't watch.
And I don't think a series of unfortunate events really fits into the mold that we're talking about here.
No, I don't either.
I don't have a problem with it. For me, it just kind of made me chuckle because Joe, the funny thing is that and I think this is the reason why I like the second one a lot more, is because the first one kind of felt like, oh, that was a weird joke, but forced. But the second time they did it, it was like, yeah, we know this is stupid, but we're doing it again anyway. I think that's why the second one worked for me more. It's like, okay, no, they know how ridiculous this sounds, and they're using it multiple times because they know it's stupid.
Fair enough.
Rule of threes, there has to be one more this season.
Yeah. Sure
Maybe the finale. Maybe the finale.
I was going to say probably the last one.
But rule of threes, there has to be one more this season.
I hope not. I really hope not.
How did you feel otherwise about it? Did you enjoy the introduction or the reintroduction to all the characters?
Yeah. Most of it was pretty good. Like I say, it was just things like the meta jokes were the worst part, like the Netflix and the Handmaid's Tale going on too long.
Yeah, I think it's actually hard to discuss this episode in a lot of ways because it really is just a lot of like, okay, here's where each character is now. Sam's supposed to be working on her thesis, but she's feeling kind of, I don't want to say lazy, but just she's kind of distracted and not feeling very
pathetic,
passionate about what she's doing. Gabe does care about his thesis, but his family's having financial troubles because his father's got some tax problems, and his credit card that he has from them is no longer working, so he can't rent his camera, which is weird to me. I mean, maybe this is an American thing, but Typically, the universities, in my
Will
experience,
supply you the necessary
yeah,
equipment.
that's not to say that you can't rent outside equipment if you want something fancy and you can afford to do it, but
Yeah,
typically
I don't
most
know.
people don't do that.
I did laugh. I was like, "What am I going to do for my thesis?" His mum's like, What the hell does everyone else do?"
Yeah, I have to assume they have filming equipment at the campus.
I would hope so. Otherwise, because this is a relatively prestigious school as well, right?
Yeah, I imagine he just wanted to do like like he wanted to get like a red, you know, a red camera or something like that and do something fancy.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Uh, but so we find his family's having financial difficulties. Coco's still with Kurt. Who's, do you know what? It took me like almost all of 2 seasons to learn his name because he always kept popping up, but he was never a big character. But then once he started having a fling with Coco, it was like, okay, I need to know who this guy is to talk about.
Yeah.
And again, it's a very casual thing. He seems like he wants to make it more of a real relationship, and she's like, no. Wednesday's your slot. Rest of the week's my time. Too busy. So that's the thing. Lionel is getting tested for STDs, and very amusing seeing this. Lionel does tend to have some good, funny moments.
He does, because he was talking about how he kind of went wild when he went home, and and he was talking like, he'd been with all these people, right? Was kind of the
Yeah.
the implication, and then it was like, so how many people? Just two.
Well, actually one technically, because I think the 2.5
Yeah.
includes the boyfriend that broke up
I
with him.
think it does. Yeah.
So 1.5 is the real answer of like his wild time
Yeah.
back home. And I love how the guy's like, so when you say half, like, was he really short or like, it's like Fellatio's half. It's like, no.
No, it's not.
In the context of STD, well, you can get an STD from fellatio.
You can, yes.
It's harder to get from fellatio, but it's possible.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Very, very possible. But in the context of does it count, which I think is what he was.
But I think in the
to.
context of STDs, though, arguably it should count as a full one, not a half or a zero. If anything, you round it up because you can get an STD from it.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I'm picking apart the logic here. I get why he's making fun of him, but like, I'm picking apart the logic from the context of STDs.
Yeah,
it probably should just count. But yeah, I did love when when Al shows up and he's like, "Oh, this is not going very well." I mean, Lionel here's got full blown AIDS, and he's like, "What?" It's like, "Nah, I'm just messing." Oh dear. Do we ever actually hear what the petition is for?
I think we did. It was about we did because it was in this scene here, and it was about not deporting students. So
Okay, you're right. Now you're right. I do vaguely recall it.
It was to do with the immigration. I'm certain of that.
It was such a quick mention that
it was making it like a sanctuary school, I think was the phrase that he wanted to use. I can't remember the exact specifics.
Yeah, AP House is still integrated. We found out that because it's a theme on time jump after the opening scene with the narrator. It's a theme on time jump, just to clarify that. Which makes me wonder if we're going to get because remember last season we had all these questions because they were referencing movies that came out in the last year, even though it was meant to be like the next month. From season 1. None of that for episode 1, but yeah, because Handmaid's Tale did exist. The
first season did.
Yeah, which is always relevant for the purpose of the joke.
Yeah.
So that's fine. Wouldn't surprise me if they do it though. Wouldn't surprise me if we get some references because they seem to not just care. It's like whatever, just do it. It's fine.
Yeah, it always bugs me, but
timey-wimey.
I remember being very wound up about it last season, and then this season did the stupid Netflix gag, and it bothered me way more. So whatever, I don't care anymore. Just do whatever they're gonna do.
Oh no, I'm into it. So we have that Troy still with the comedy paper that he's with, and Pastiche, if I recall the name correctly. And they're just pitching things, and there's like one woman in the room who's trying to pitch ideas when they've got this like timer and they're doing like a crunch, like sort of spitballing kind of session.
Just shout out, yeah.
And no one listens to her; they can't hear her. And she's trying to kind of like bond with Troy because she's the only woman, he's the only black guy. She's trying to bond as being the outsiders, but he's kind of detached from her and isn't really entertaining her
because he does feel like part of the group still, like in the sense of in that room he's there, he's throwing out ideas, they're listening. He just looks like part of the gang.
Yeah. And obviously, they're talking about stereotypes when the scene opens, actually, and clearly they're comfortable enough with each other that they're throwing around these jokes about race and things like that in a sort of friendly manner. That it's not a, and I wonder if this is going to be more maybe part of Troy's arc this season. Is this idea that he's not willing to even see that she's having an issue integrating with them because, well, I'm taken care of, I'm fine, so why should I care about someone else? Maybe that'll be part of his arc if they go down that route.
Yeah, could be.
So now we have that. Who else would we talk about? There's a whole list of characters in this show. I mean, Sam herself, we kind of talked about, but she has the big scene at the end of the episode, though, where there's a spokesperson or a student giving a speech about not being complacent, and the narrator's there, and she sees the narrator, and he walks away. And, I do wonder, like, is the arc for this season for Sam, at the very least, like, the temptation to get her fire back, but instead of taking the radio show back, starting the society again? Like, is that, what the story's ultimately going to be?
I think it's quite likely, yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And then we had Joelle and Reggie in the radio booth. She's trying to do her first show, but Reggie keeps trying to be coupley, and it's thrown her off, and she has to tell him to back down. And it's not a fight or anything. She's just kind of like, down, Reggie, down. I need to talk on my radio show. It's a talk show.
Just give me 45 minutes.
Dear.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to be fair, I did kind of like this scene. I mean, I know you don't like the Netflix joke, but I like the actual observation he's making, though, that everyone has kind of changed and moved on. Everyone is not the same as we were in season 1. Almost in that exact dialogue, funnily enough. But everyone's not the same. Everyone's moved on. And Al's maybe stuck in the past, or it's interesting. Yeah. Also, Sorbet the dog still not made its way back to Kelsey yet. Just for the record.
That's fine. Yeah. Yeah, we should talk about Al's thing at the end as well, where...
That's right, yeah, Al does have one, something that I don't think we knew about at all, actually, at the end of the episode.
Do you know what is weird? One of those weird things is it didn't feel like a shock revelation, because I had always just assumed that this was the case when I looked at him.
Silvio is the name of the editor who was caught writing all the posts last season. And... and I liked, again, there was some political dialogue in here where Al's kind of like, oh, you're doing the thing where you want to get the money for being the talking head with the Conservatives, so you're saying all their, all their key buzzwords and, whatnot. So I like kind of just flat pointing that out, and he's like, nah, like, I made a choice. Either, I can be who I am or be what I want to be, and I made a choice, or do what I want to do, I think maybe with the exact phrase, but, so they're having this debate, but it's so Al is short for Alberto, and he is half Hispanic, and no one else seems to know that around. And he does speak Spanish in this scene because they start speaking in Spanish.
Yeah, he does, and he's like, where I come from, brown or black, it's basically the same.
Yeah, so that's just, I mean, it's actually probably the most characters Al's ever had on the show, is giving him this interesting facet that's maybe a little bit different. And obviously, I mean, Sam's always had a white parent as well, so it's not like the first mixed race character we've had. But
no, absolutely not. It's more just he seems to be hiding it, whereas she never did.
And it presents this interesting thing with Silvio, where he can not like, they have this that they can speak to Spanish in each other, and Silvio knows about this, so it gives them this relationship that we didn't know existed, that we can kind of explore throughout the season. Also interesting that his name reveals it, and it's interesting that, I mean, Sam's name doesn't reveal it, but there is kind of that ironic touch where her last name is White. So I like the idea of her name sort of really in your face, and it's like, okay, she's half white. But with Al, it's like, okay, if you obviously on its own it just sounds like Al, but it would actually reveal his heritage a little bit if you knew what it stood for. So
it does, yeah, and it seems like it's not a complete secret, or it won't be for too long, I don't think, because he was getting invited on the Facebook to the Latin Facebook group.
Yeah, it might even be Silvio who.
Oh no, I assume it was Silvio sending that, but I mean, once it's Facebook is terrible for keeping things secret.
Oh sure, yeah.
It was more my point.
Yeah, no. So I thought that was interesting for Al, actually.
Yeah,
that was really funny. Not funny, but you know what I mean. Like, it was interesting. It was an interesting character. It was for him because. So yeah, it was like, this episode really just established where everyone is, and kind of what their stories might be for the season. Give us like a tease of their themes and what they're going to be going through. We're going to have Joelle and Reggie sort of dealing with the fact that they're a couple now, and how what is their dynamic, and how do they, because it's very different for both of them compared to last season and the season before. So Interesting, but it actually makes it harder for as an episode to just talk about the plot because
It is, and I
there's
think
not a lot that really happened
there's
as
not,
of.
and while it's all mostly enjoyable, I have my nitpicks with some jokes, but overall it's enjoyable. I think it's probably one of the least individually satisfying episodes of the show, in the sense that it doesn't have an arc, it doesn't have a character that I'm following who goes through something like 95% of the episodes do.
Yeah, most of the episodes do, and episode ones typically have done it as well, usually with Sam. So,
Yeah,
from what I remember, so I just hope that this is just episode one, and it's not a sign that they've abandoned focus on on a character each
no, because I
episode.
really like that format.
Yeah, I like that format a lot too, and it really benefited the show over its first two seasons. So hopefully this is just because we want to reestablish everyone where we are, and then maybe next episode we start with the focusing on each character individually.
Yeah.
It would surprise me if they did drop that completely though, because it is such a core part of
It is
what
a
the show
staple
is.
how the show functions.
So I would really hope that that's the case, but no reason to necessarily worry yet though. I think
No.
that that's
If we
just
come back next episode and it was the same thing again,
yeah.
then we'll have a different conversation about it.
But all the pieces are on the board, and we'll see how they play out with each other. So.
Yeah.
That has been episode 1 of Dear White People, season 3. So let us know what you thought of the episode in the comments below. You can like, subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fudge for channel updates. If you want to support the channel financially, you can do that over at patreon.com/mailfuzztv, and you can keep all the reviews coming, get some bonuses, get some exclusives, help feed my cats. But you can do all that and check out other content we have as well. Just from Netflix alone, Mindhunter and Glow are returning very soon. We'll have reviews for those going up, and we're also reviewing The Boys from Amazon Prime right now. So you get all of our audio. If you're also wanting the audio feeds for these, or the podcast audio versions of these reviews, there's two feeds. There's this one that you'll have this so much as the Netflix reviews feed, and then there's the Almost Cancelled TV reviews feed, which has all the non-Netflix stuff, has the Amazon and the HBO and your Hulu and whatever.
It's where you can get the real Handmaid's Tale.
The real Handmaid's Tale reviews, yes. So no, maybe if they give us enough Handmaid's Tale every episode, maybe we can have a series of fake Handmaid's Tale reviews about July. Oh dear. Maybe I laughed that they went with July because like May and April are real names that people have. I've never heard anyone called July.
No one is called July.
Yeah, but there's other months that are female names that they could have picked.
But it's funnier to do July.
It is funnier. It did make me laugh, so I'm not going to critique it too much. But but that's us. Thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. We'll see you next time.